A former slot technician recently revealed a set of internal casino documents that expose something most players never even consider. Certain bonus features, the very ones designed to look exciting, dramatic, and full of potential, are actually programmed to drain money far faster than ordinary spins. Today we're breaking down 7 of these features that insiders privately warn each other about. And the first one on that list is far more manipulative than it appears on the screen. Bonus game number 1. Quick Hit Platinum, Progressive Pick. Marcus spent most weekends at Mohegan Sun, never playing anything too flashy, never bouncing from machine to machine the way many players did. For him, Quick Hit Platinum had become a routine. He liked its pace, the gentle rhythm of its spins, and especially the pick bonus that promised access to the progressive jackpots. It felt like a straightforward challenge: trigger the bonus, reveal the right symbols, win something meaningful. That simplicity kept him coming back. Over time, he triggered the progressive pick feature hundreds of times. Staff who worked the floor back then remembered him because he always reacted the same way, calm at the start, hopeful as the coins appeared, silent as he made each pick. The pattern of results didn't change much: mini jackpots, occasional minor ones, and nothing from the top 2 tiers. The absence of major and grand wins confused him. He felt like they should have appeared by now. What Marcus didn't know was that the fairness he assumed existed in the picking process simply wasn't part of the design. Former Bally engineers explained that Quick Hit's pick feature functions similarly to other modern pick bonuses: the final result is chosen the instant the bonus activates. Whether the player picks from the top row, the bottom row, the center, or completely at random, the outcome doesn't move. The illusion that the player is getting closer with each reveal is part of the emotional choreography the game depends on. Quick Hit goes even further by manipulating the order in which symbols appear. Players often reveal a major or grand symbol before matching anything, and that early glimpse creates a surge of optimism. For a moment, the possibility feels alive. But the machine reveals those high-value symbols precisely because the algorithm has already decided they won't be awarded. The early tease is meant to elevate the emotional stakes before the gradual collapse into a smaller prize. One particularly painful example became something of a story among staff members. A player triggered the pick bonus on a $5 bet and revealed a grand symbol on his first pick. He froze, looked around, and kept going. The second pick revealed another grand, and his excitement was instant, palms sweating, heart pounding, convinced he was on the brink of something life-changing. But the next reveal showed a mini symbol. Then another. And another. The final prize was $15. The shock on his face said everything. He walked away slowly, shoulders dropped, leaving the machine spinning its victory sound to nobody. For casino staff, scenes like that weren't surprising. Many had watched the same pattern unfold hundreds of times. The early success in the reveals wasn't luck or coincidence, it was an intentional design choice to create a rise and fall that players mistake for chance. This is why Quick Hit often leaves players confused. Many describe feeling like the game is toying with them, hinting that they're close to a huge award but never delivering it. Yet they continue returning to the machine. Not because the payouts are good, they rarely are, but because the emotional hook is strong enough to override reason. The anticipation becomes its own reward. What makes this feature particularly deceptive is that Quick Hit disguises the predetermined nature of its jackpots better than most. The grid of identical symbols, the scattered placement of icons, the gradual reveals, everything feels like a genuine decision-making moment, even though no decision matters. The player is completing a story the machine has already written. Marcus never realized any of this. He only saw what the bonus wanted him to see, a path that looked like it was always climbing, even though it ultimately led him right back down. And the next bonus we're moving to doesn't just lower your chances. It introduces a choice so risky that former casino employees have described it as one of the most dangerously misleading buttons ever added to a slot machine. Bonus game number 2. Wheel of Fortune, Triple Extreme Spin. Triple Extreme Spin looks like an upgraded, more glamorous version of the classic Wheel of Fortune feature, and that illusion is exactly what makes it so dangerous. The bonus appears more elaborate and more rewarding, so players assume it must offer better chances. But at its core, this feature revolves around a single trap disguised as an opportunity. When the bonus loads, the game assigns you one of three wheel tiers: bronze, silver, or gold. Bronze is modest, silver feels promising, and gold looks like the gateway to life-changing payouts. Then comes the part that hooks people, the gamble option. With one press, you can risk your current tier for a chance to upgrade to a better one. It feels bold, exciting, and strangely logical. Why settle for bronze when gold is right there? Former IGT developers later revealed that this gamble almost never succeeds. The upgrade odds are so low that failure is the expected outcome, not a rare one. But the real sting is in the consequence: if the gamble fails, the entire bonus disappears. Not a reduced prize, not a penalty, everything. The wheel, the payout, the guaranteed win. It all vanishes in a single second. Casino employees saw this happen constantly. Players would trigger the bonus, see a bronze tier, and instinctively hit the gamble button as if it were part of the process. The screen would flash, collapse, and return them to the base game with nothing to show for it. Some players shrugged, others cursed, but almost all of them kept trying, convinced that the next attempt would be different. One shift supervisor recalled a man who triggered the wheel 4 times in a single night. Each time, he gambled, each time, he lost. By the last bonus, he muttered, "I'm already down so much. I have to take the shot." That thought, the belief that risk will rescue a losing session, is exactly what this feature exploits. This is the heart of Triple Extreme Spin's design. It isn't just a gamble button, it's a psychological lever. It reframes guaranteed wins as something inadequate, something not worth taking. Suddenly, accepting a bronze will feels like giving up, even though it's the only mathematically safe choice. The button transforms a modest win into an emotional burden, and players press it trying to escape that feeling. Former technicians openly admit that this feature exists for one purpose: to push the house edge far beyond the game's normal hold percentage. A player who never touches the gamble button loses slowly. A player who embraces it loses dramatically. It's a mechanic built to punish impulse while making that impulse feel completely reasonable. Among insiders, this bonus is one of the most consistently avoided features in the entire Wheel of Fortune lineup. Not because it's confusing, but because it's too effective at turning a sure win into nothing at all. And if this feature wipes out winnings with a single decision, the final bonus on our list does something subtler: it hides its disadvantage inside a feature that appears more generous than the game's regular play. Bonus game number 3. 88 Fortunes, Foo Bat, Jackpot. Robert wasn't a reckless gambler. He was a retired accountant who approached slot machines the same way he approached numbers his entire life: patiently, logically, and with a belief that patterns always exist. For nearly 4 years, he played 88 Fortunes at the same tribal casino in Connecticut. Employees remembered him because he always sat at the same machine, always carried the same notebook, and always treated the bonus round like it was a puzzle he was getting closer to solving. What set the Foo Bat Jackpot feature apart for him was its apparent simplicity: 12 golden coins appear, you pick one, behind the coins are symbols representing the mini, minor, major, or grand jackpots. Match 3 symbols, and you win the corresponding prize. To Robert, that looked like skill, or at least strategy. He became convinced that the machine followed certain patterns, that some positions were more likely to hide the grand than others, and that with enough data he could outsmart the design. But the truth behind the feature is nothing like what players see on the surface. Former Scientific Games engineers later revealed that the moment a player triggers the bonus, the outcome is instantly selected by the machine's random number generator. Everything that follows, the picking of coins, the slow reveals, the teasing glimpses of jackpots, is simply a scripted sequence built around an already determined result. The player is never actually choosing anything that influences the outcome. This is why Robert's notebook, filled with nearly 300 recorded bonuses, never helped him. After years of tracking, his results were predictable in hindsight: hundreds of minis, dozens of minors, a handful of majors, and not a single grand. What he believed were patterns were nothing more than the machine delivering the exact outcomes it was programmed to assign. His choices were irrelevant from the start. The reveal at the end of the bonus makes the deception feel deeper. After awarding the player's predetermined prize, the game shows the remaining coins being flipped over. Often, especially after a small win, the machine reveals that the player was only one pick away from the grand jackpot. To the player, it feels like a near miss, a moment where better choices could have changed everything. But those reveals aren't authentic. Developers confirmed that the board of coins isn't a real layout hiding real symbols. It's an animation constructed to create the impression that the grand was almost hit. One casino manager recalled watching Robert explain his method to another regular. Robert genuinely believed certain positions repeated patterns and offered guidance based on years of notes. Knowing the truth, the employee could barely stand the conversation. Two people trying to crack a code that never existed. Two people believing the machine was beatable if only the right picks were made. What makes this bonus more damaging than others is the emotional investment it creates. Because the player is asked to choose coins, the game feels participatory. It feels like progress. It feels like skill. Slot designers know this effect well. When players feel they're influencing the outcome, even when they're not, they stay longer, spend more, and become more attached to the machine. This is why the foo-bat feature is often described by insiders as one of the most manipulative systems in modern casinos. It uses interaction to disguise the fact that the player has no control at all. And for someone like Robert, who finally hit the grand jackpot after years of play, the win felt like validation. It felt like the result of patience and pattern recognition. But according to casino records, even that $11,000 payout barely dented his long-term losses. The harsh reality is that this bonus was never designed to be cracked. It was designed to make players believe they were getting closer every time. Bonus game number 4. Dragon Link Grand Prize Pick. Crystal from San Diego wasn't the type of player who chased every machine on the floor. She had one game she trusted, Dragon Link. What drew her in wasn't the free spins or the hold and spin feature, it was the pick bonus. It felt clean, exciting, and more direct than most slot features. When that field of coins appeared on screen, she felt like she was stepping into a moment where anything was possible. For 6 months, she documented nearly every one of her bonus features on a gambling forum. She wasn't obsessive, she was curious. And at first, her numbers looked encouraging enough: a handful of minor jackpots, many minis, and even 2 grands. But what confused her was the way the game presented itself each time. The bonus always seemed to dangle larger prizes right in front of her before collapsing into something far smaller. Former Aristocrat developers later explained that Dragon Link's pick feature doesn't just reveal symbols, it stages them. Unlike the foo-bat bonus, where the entire board is revealed at once after the result is determined, Dragon Link shows its reveals in a deliberate sequence. This sequencing isn't random. The machine often shows a grand symbol early, sometimes even 2, making the player believe their moments from matching 3. The tension rises exactly the way the developers intended it to. What most players don't realize is that, just like in 88 Fortunes, the result of the bonus is locked in from the moment it triggers. The player isn't uncovering the prize, the game is simply guiding them through an emotional narrative built around the outcome they've already been assigned. And because Dragon Link animates each coin reveal, the machine can manipulate when and where high-value symbols appear for maximum psychological effect. One former casino staff member remembered reviewing footage of a player who revealed 2 grand symbols in his first 2 picks. The man actually stood up from his chair, convinced he was seconds away from a massive payout. When the final reveal came and the minor jackpot appeared, the emotional crash was so jarring he immediately left the machine, pacing in frustration before walking out entirely. To an outside observer, the event looked dramatic. To employees familiar with the programming, it was simply the system doing what it was designed to do. This is part of why Dragon Link's pick bonus produces such conflicting reactions. In surveys, players often report feeling disappointed or frustrated by the feature. Yet those same players return to it, sometimes within the same session. The emotional imprint left by those close calls, even artificially created ones, keeps them engaged. The brain fixates on the excitement, not the outcome. Industry insiders call this synthetic near-miss reinforcement. It's a method that doesn't rely on pure randomness or surprise, but on guided pacing. The bonus doesn't need to pay well, it just needs to create a sense of almost winning something extraordinary. And when that sensation repeats over and over, even without delivering real value, it becomes strangely addictive. Crystal's own experience reflected this perfectly. She wrote often about how thrilling the start of the feature felt, even when the final prize was just another mini. She wasn't driven by the wins themselves, she was chasing the surge of possibility that happened before the result. That is precisely what the bonus is engineered to exploit. Dragon Link's pick bonus doesn't pretend to be fair. It pretends to be close. And that difference, between fairness and closeness, is where the trap truly lies. Bonus game number 5. Lightning Link free games. Lightning Link is one of those machines that seems to promise explosive potential every few spins. Most players sit down because they want the famous hold and spin feature, the coins, the lights, the frenzy. But every now and then, instead of that familiar sequence, the machine awards something that feels even more special, the free games. To casual players, this feels like a premium moment, a rarer, more valuable version of the game they know. The machine even presents it that way, brighter animations, different music, and the suggestion that something unusual is about to happen. But according to former Aristocrat developers, the moment the free games begin, the machine quietly changes its internal structure in a way most players never even consider. During regular spins, the chance of landing a full stack of premium symbols, the ones that trigger huge payouts, is low, but not impossibly rare. Over time, players come to expect that certain symbols will occasionally appear stacked in a way that fills entire reels. Those moments create significant hits, sometimes big enough to keep a session going for hours. But when the free games are triggered, the reels shift to a different setup. The odds of landing fully stacked premium symbols drop dramatically. Former developers described this as a reel tightening mechanism. In the base game, a full stack might appear once every few hundred spins. In the free games, that same event may only appear once every several thousand. The feature that appears to elevate the stakes actually lowers the probability of the outcomes players look forward to the most. One player documented an experience that illustrates this perfectly. He triggered 15 free spins and didn't land a single full stack of premium symbols, not once. After the round ended, he compared that to his base game experience earlier that night and realized that during 15 ordinary spins, he had seen stacked symbols at least twice. He felt confused, even cheated, although he didn't understand why the bonus felt so strangely hollow. Former employees explained that this wasn't an error or a glitch, it was intentional. The free games are designed to feel rare, and because they feel rare, players assume they must be valuable. But their payouts are often significantly lower on average than the hold and spin feature, and certainly lower than the anticipation suggests. The game isn't offering a better opportunity, it's offering a different one, and a much tighter one at that. The brilliance of the design lies in how smoothly it hides disappointment. Even when the free games fail to deliver anything meaningful, the presentation makes them feel special. The sound design is richer, the animations are more dramatic, and players walk away with the impression that they experienced something exciting, even if the numbers say otherwise. This is why Lightning Link's free game feature often leaves players puzzled. They didn't lose in a direct way, they lost through expectation. The game gave them a moment that felt upgraded, premium, and rare, then quietly disabled the very mechanics that make big wins possible in the first place. It's a bait-and-switch hidden behind bright lights and polished sound cues. And with that, the 7 bonus features that former employees warn about become clear. Each one operates differently, each one relies on its own form of illusion, and each one is far more dangerous to a bankroll than the average player realizes. Bonus game number 6. Buffalo Gold Free Spins. Jessica, a schoolteacher from Denver, visited Black Hawk casinos almost like clockwork. She wasn't reckless and didn't view gambling as anything more than a small escape from routine. Her favorite machine was always Buffalo Gold, mostly because the bonus round felt like something special: dramatic sounds, golden flashes, the possibility of multipliers, the anticipation of a re-trigger. She loved that part more than anything else on the casino floor. Yet over the course of more than a year, as former employees recalled, she triggered the bonus well over 100 times, and almost every round ended the same way: a brief rise in tension, a few modest wins, and a quiet sense of disappointment. She couldn't understand why the bonus seemed so full of promise yet so consistently underwhelming. What Jessica didn't know, and what the machine never signals to the player, is that Buffalo Gold changes its internal rules the moment the bonus begins. During regular spins, scatter symbols appear frequently enough to make the free games feel achievable. But once the bonus mode starts, the reels switch to a different configuration where scatter symbols are dramatically reduced. Former Aristocrat developers confirmed this was intentional. The bonus round is engineered to suggest the possibility of extending itself while almost never actually doing it. This is why players so often see 2 scatter symbols land during the bonus, convincing them they're inches away from extra spins. The game practically specializes in showing that second scatter, while the third symbol remains just off-screen or appears a fraction of a reel too high or too low. These moments aren't accidents. They're carefully tuned to create emotional tension, the feeling that re-triggers are always right around the corner. The volatility of Buffalo Gold amplifies that tension even further. Most bonus rounds pay relatively small amounts, enough to feel like something happened, but rarely enough to recover the money spent reaching the bonus in the first place. And yet, every so often, the machine hits one of those explosive bonuses where Golden Buffalo fill the screen and multipliers connect perfectly. Players remember these moments vividly, even if they happen only once in dozens of attempts. Former casino staff described an example that sums this up perfectly. 2 players sat next to each other. One triggered a bonus on a $1.50 bet and won roughly $40. Minutes later, the player beside him hit a massive win on the same bet, more than $1,000. The first player immediately became convinced that he was owed something similar and spent the rest of his evening chasing a result he was statistically unlikely to see again anytime soon. That's the hidden power of Buffalo Gold. The game doesn't need to pay well to keep players engaged, it simply needs to hint at the possibility that the next bonus could be the one. The animations, the timing, the sound design, everything builds the illusion that progress is happening, even when the reels are quietly stacked against the player. This combination of controlled scarcity, emotional pacing, and the occasional dramatic payout makes Buffalo Gold one of the most effective psychological traps among bonus-heavy slots. Players continue believing they're close to something extraordinary, even when the math behind the scenes consistently delivers small, forgettable results. The next bonus feature on this list uses an entirely different kind of deception, one that revolves around the illusion of personal choice. And according to former employees, it's the most emotionally damaging system they ever watched players interact with. Bonus game number 7. Wheel of Fortune Bonus Spin. Michael loved the Wheel of Fortune bonus more than any other moment in a casino. He wasn't chasing fame or a life-changing jackpot, he just loved the rush of watching the wheel spin. He had seen enough videos online to believe that anyone could get lucky if they were sitting in the right place at the right time. So he drove 4 hours from Phoenix to Las Vegas every few months, always ending up at the same style of machine, always waiting for that familiar transition into the bonus screen. What he never understood, and what most players never question, is that the wheel in this bonus isn't a wheel in the real sense. According to former IGT programmers, the moment the bonus triggers, the result is already decided. The spin that follows is simply a performance meant to create the illusion of suspense. The way the wheel slows as it approaches the large prizes, the exaggerated hesitation just before passing a high-value wedge, all of that is deliberately animated. None of it reflects the actual mechanics behind the outcome. Even more misleading is the way the wheel presents itself visually. Every wedge appears nearly the same size, which tricks players into assuming the chances are roughly equal. Inside the machine, however, the distribution is heavily weighted toward the smallest prizes. The giant jackpot wedges players fixate on might as well be decorative. Their probability is so low that technicians who serviced these machines said they could go years without seeing them hit even once. This is why players often feel a strange mix of excitement and frustration during the bonus. They watch the wheel creep toward a high-value prize, see it hover for a split second, and then slip away into a low payout. To the player, it feels like a near win. To the machine, it is simply executing the animation sequence assigned to a predetermined result. The emotional spike is intentional, because it makes even a losing session feel like it was close to greatness. Most players don't realize how much money they spend just to get to this moment. Triggering the bonus typically requires well over 100 spins. If someone is betting a few dollars per spin, the cost of earning one bonus often reaches several $100s. Yet the bonus itself usually returns only a fraction of that amount. The lights and music create the atmosphere of a reward, but the numbers almost always tell a different story. Former casino employees describe countless instances where players won $60 or $70 from the wheel but looked disappointed. From a financial standpoint, those players should have felt relieved. But the animation had convinced them they were inches away from a massive payday, and that feeling reshaped their perception of the actual win. A small payout becomes a disappointment simply because the wheel pretended a bigger one was possible. The progressive jackpot above the machine deepens the illusion even further. Players often believe that a growing jackpot means it is approaching a payout. Technicians confirm that this is absolutely false. The jackpot counter rises because players feed money into the machine, not because the jackpot is getting closer to triggering. Its probability remains constant, and minuscule, no matter how high the number climbs. This is why the Wheel of Fortune bonus quietly drains more money than most players ever realize. It combines a predetermined outcome with an emotional spectacle, convincing players they're close to something extraordinary while consistently giving them far less than they invested. The excitement feels real, but the math is relentless. And if this bonus relies on illusion through animation, the next one manipulates players through expectations, by redesigning the reels the moment the bonus begins. That's the truth behind these 7 bonus features. Each of them looks exciting on the surface, but the math underneath tells a different story. Former casino employees know this better than anyone, which is why so many of them avoid these bonuses completely when they gamble on their own. They've seen how often players walk away disappointed, convinced they were close to something big when the outcome was never really in their control. If you've ever felt that same frustration, the sense that a bonus should have paid more, or that you were one symbol away, now you understand why. These features are built to feel thrilling, not to be fair. Tell me in the comments which of these bonuses you've played and which one drained your bankroll the most. Your experience might help someone else avoid the same trap. And if this breakdown helped you see things a little clearer, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you know who plays slots. Stay sharp, play smart, and I'll see you in the next one.